Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to the Bricks King Podcast, where I'm going to bend your ear about Lego, review those amazing bricks of plastic, and discuss what is new and up and coming around the Lego world. I am your minifig host, Matt. Let's build on it. Welcome back, everyone. This is episode number 8, part 1 of episode number 8. Yes, you heard me right. Don't go back. Don't change your settings. You are correct. This is episode number 8. Long story short, podcasts get weird. Some things get lost in the technological universe, and that's what happened. But all is right again. We've got everything back the way we need it. So I hope you really enjoy this show. We've got Will Reed on from thebrickblogger.com. Without further ado, here we go for part 1. Well, we have Will Reed from thebrickblogger.com back for the famed lost episode number 8, which it got stuck in podcast, I don't know, land somewhere. It never made it to where it was, so we're going to record this one to make it even better. Absolutely. So, Will, I got you on, and you've finally gotten your Hulkbuster copy. You got it put together, got it reviewed.
Yep.
Go ahead and tell us all about it. I can't wait to hear, and I know everybody else can't wait as well.
Okay, so this is not the first mech that I've built. In fact, just recently I built the Egghead mech. And one of the things I noticed between Hulkbuster versus pretty much every other mech that I've built is a basic mech will be built from the back up, where the bottom of the tubes, or the anti-studs as some people call them, are on the back of the mech, and then the front of the mech is the tops of the bricks, and then you just turn the whole thing sideways. The Hulkbuster, not that way. In fact, the studs are upwards towards where the head is, and everything else is brackets. And so you'll go through the various stages, and it's kind of hard to see because what they do is they'll finish like a whole torso, or they'll finish a thigh and keep moving on. But if what you did is stop and not put all the decorative elements, you would actually create a mannequin that's just full of studs. So each section is a blocked out kind of template of, okay, this is like the torso is wider at the top, narrower at the bottom, but it's studs on the front almost exclusively, and studs on the back, and studs up on the shoulders, and then just a few weird connections towards the arms because, well, that's where the arm connections go, and you don't really need studs there. And that process is continued when you get to the thighs, when you get to the shins, when you get to the biceps, when you get to the forearms. So it was like, I'm not sure if you've ever seen those little drawing mannequins that they sell at craft stores, where you take the mannequin and you position him. It really felt like building one of those.
Okay.
And then clothing it in slopes and tiles and all the various things that make it look like an armored suit.
So you're basically building a frame of, basically, like you said, a skeleton kind of deal,
yes.
And then you're just putting its skin on the outside.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And that was just so weird, because when you build a normal mech, you're building a leg, and it's essentially you're building it right then and there. You're not making a skeletal frame and then clothing it.
Right.
And that is essentially what you do with the Hulkbuster. Another interesting thing about the Hulkbuster is the weight of that thing. It's very top heavy. And so I know I saw pretty much as soon as the thing came out, someone didn't like the fact that the knees didn't bend. And building it myself, well, not only do the knees not bend, but the hips don't bend in a way you'd think. Like, if you want to put your leg forward, you'd think, oh, I'm just going to bend it at the hip. Even if the knees don't move, then that's fine. No, the hips don't move. All the hips can do is either rotate at the waist or go out like a split. Okay. So the knees are fixed, and the hips have very little forward and back motion. In fact, the only thing in the legs that has motion is the ankles, which is like a major ball joint and then two smaller ball joints to create type of stoppers. And the interesting thing about that is, yeah, it kind of cuts down on some of the play feature, but because the thing is so top heavy and the way the ankles are made, the whole mech kind of leans and looms forward. So it actually gives the real world Hulkbuster feel, because if you see that thing in the movie, that thing is just, like a hunched over gorilla design, and that's what you get. So they made it very artistic rather than full play. Now, play-wise, it's still fun because you have fully articulated arms, you have little moving fingers, you even have a piston fist that all it really is a rubber band that you can pull it back, and then you can push it forward, and then the rubber band pulls it back, which was kind of cute. I have to say this is the best use of a light brick I have ever seen.
Okay, I was wondering if it had any in there. I don't have one of these, and I was curious because I kept hearing about it. Where is it exactly in this thing?
Okay, right underneath the helmet, there is like a little slotted area that's essentially two railing plates covering over a clear brick, and it's right behind that clear brick. In fact, if you stick a Iron Man figure in the thing, he actually sits on the light brick, except the light brick is covered with a tile. So it's really close up to the top. And it's also very well disguised because the back, when you normally would see like a light brick, the little button to press it or some sort of very obvious extension, it doesn't have that. Instead, what it has is this nice angled plate with some tiles that are connected to some locking finger hinges, which means that flap will stay in place, but it has still give, so that when you press on it, it lights forward.
Okay.
It's so cool.
I'm amazed. I don't recall. I'm sure you know better than I, but I don't recall a whole lot of sets that use the light bricks in it, which,
the ones that I can recall, the Winter Village sets were using them quite extensively, but they were just flat out in the open.
Right.
They were just hanging out there. Some of the creator sets, there were like robots that had them, and they kind of built the light brick into like the robot's head, and so it shined out. Prince of Persia did them with a Quest of the Dagger set, where you'd stick the dagger in, and then you press the light brick, and then it lights up the little clear whatever it is where the dagger sticks into. What else have I seen? This is the other one I really like, is the Tower of Orthunk. Or Orthunk? I think it's Orthunk. There is a kind of a crystal ball, and underneath that floor is a chandelier. Now, if you push up on the chandelier, it presses the light brick, and the light brick lights up the crystal ball from underneath, giving it probably the coolest lighting effect I've seen. Those are the ones I can think of off the top of my head. Oh, no, Minecraft. There was an Ender Dragon set, and it had a whole bunch of pillars with the Ender crystals on top, and what they did is just slotted a light brick down with the light pointing up. So then when you took the crystal and stuck it over it and pressed down on it, of course, pushed the light brick, which triggered it and lit up the crystal. But you'd have to put your finger on the crystal to keep it lit.
Okay. So,
man. Otherwise, I think I've seen a dragon, a creator dragon that was, again, built into the head to light up the flames. It's a clunky piece to use.
Well, it just amazes me that somebody was obviously thinking long and hard about a way to hide this thing because, like you said, they've been used before, but they've been kind of out in the open. They haven't been really disguised. And I mean, you have a finite amount of pieces that you can use here, and that's
the problem is not only is it clunky to build in the first place, because it means it's like a 2x3 brick with a little bit of extra, and just finding a place to put on that means you'd have to be kind of heavy-handed with your builds. And then if you do hide it very well, how do you get to the button? And so there was like a Harry Potter set, Hagrid's hut. One of them actually used a light brick to light up his fireplace, and the light brick itself took out a good portion of the chimney because, well, you needed that much space just to hide the thing. And even still, they needed to build an extension just so you could trigger the light brick.
Right.
But this thing is slick looking. I can't get over how just seamless the thing is.
So I know it comes with a stand, right?
Yes.
Does it sit like, I know there was some confusion with the Tron cycles that just recently came out. I was reading a thread on Reddit that they don't completely sit flush, I guess, on whatever stud. It's only like half connection. Does this sit on the stand? Is it connected by a stud?
No. So that was another really interesting thing about it. The platform is completely tiled up top. Okay. It's just major big tiles, and that's it. What they do, and they do it for the Hulkbuster itself as well as the stand, is they take rubber tires, turn them sideways, and use them as rubber feet. So that gives traction on smooth surfaces. So right in the center of each foot, underneath the Hulkbuster, is that tire that just sticks out just enough so that it makes the maximum amount of contact. And then underneath the platform, you get 6 of those, 3 on one side, 3 on the other. So that's actually what keeps it upright. It's not connected at all. It's just freestanding.
Interesting. Because I've seen the pictures of it, from other people that have built this thing, and even just what it looks like from Lego standing on the box, or standing on the stand from their box, and it just I was curious about it. I was wondering if there was anything underneath there, but that's cool that it stands on its own. It's completely tiled.
Yeah, they really thought about, okay, how do we deal with this weight? How can this thing stand on its own? And that's why they made the decisions they did to, okay, we're going to limit the hip movement for the legs, and we're going to limit the knees, and that gives us fewer variables that we have to worry about. So then all we have to worry about is the ankles and making sure there's enough friction there, because, well, even those things are built sideways.
Right. So you've got, it's a mech, but you've got like you had mentioned, they kind of solidify the bottom half of that just so that it doesn't, you don't have legs sliding one way or the other. Like you said, you could still play with the thing.
Yeah.
What was it? The base price? I think it was
$120.
$120. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So that's...
Well, the thing is, if you're really looking for a Hulkbuster you play with, I would say that the ones that currently are out are more than sufficient for getting you, because they also scale well with, fighting Hulk, which Hulkbuster, that's what the thing is for.
Right.
What I didn't realize, and this was reading from the little plaque, that Hulkbuster is supposed to be 24 feet tall. And scaling it to a minifigure, it's pretty close, provided the minifigure's, say, 5 foot. So it's a little bit bigger than true scaling to a minifigure.
Well, I saw a picture a couple days ago after you had emailed me and said this thing was done, and there was a comparison of three of them. It might have been on the Brick Blogger site, and there was a picture of the three of them standing next to each other, and it just, I mean, the others are of decent size as well, but it just it looks completely it just looks completely different. I mean, there's similar color and thing, but it looks really, really well done. It looks really well done. And now that you mention it has the light brick, I mean, that gives me a extra like, need to throw the 120 out there and add this thing, because I mean, there's not a whole lot of sets that really come with that. And I mean, I guess it kind of has to go with that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, just building this thing, I would have to say, if I was going to create a mech line where I was, making my own personal mechs, this is now the framework I would base my designs off of, because it feels beefy. It feels right when it comes to the whole idea. Well, a mech is a mobile tank. This feels like a mobile tank. Right. Everything else that has come before just seems like a very decorative way to mash together the construction figures, which are those constructible action figures,
sure,
with something that you can stick a minifigure in.
Right.
But this, I would actually say, feels like mechanized armor.
Awesome. So let me ask this. You put this thing together. By the way, I'm going to have to check out. I like going through and trying to look at the directions, because, the instructions are online as soon as the sets come out. I want to go on there. I like to go on and look and see, okay, how's this thing kind of constructed? So that's definitely something that I'll have to spend some time doing, just because pure curiosity's sake. I mean, I don't have one in front of me, but from everything you're telling me, I got to see kind of how this thing goes together the inside.
Yeah. It's it's actually kind of really, really boring if because I said the thigh is nothing more than a giant rectangle with brackets. And what gives this thing its fantastic look is there was a new piece. Are you familiar with the curved top half bows?
Yes.
Yeah. So they have a whole bunch of those, but at the tip of those slopes, they're cut 45 degrees. You have lefts and rights.
Okay.
So that he uses a lot of those to get that fine detail of the shape. And I think that's most of where the detail comes from, is because every chance they get, they throw a couple more in there, and you get these beautiful looking lines to your mech that you just don't normally see, and that's why.
Interesting. Man, I'm gonna have to get this thing. Oh, and there's so many other sets coming out, and you and I, before we started rolling on this thing, we're talking about the Lego roller coaster. We'll jump off into that because it's in the forefront of my mind. It's been for the last 2 days, and I keep looking at pictures of this thing. And I'm like, oh, I just can't wait any longer. So the Lego roller coaster is coming out. $380. $380.
Just shy of 4,200 pieces. It's big. I think it was like a little over 20 inches tall, 31 inches wide at one point, and like 41 inches in the other direction.
Oh my goodness.
This is a table hog.
Table hog. Yes, I would definitely say that. Absolutely.
But it works. It works. It actually has a chain-driven crank motor type system that lifts up the trains, and you actually get two of them. And then it's, well, of course, gravity fed, just like a normal roller coaster. I was surprised that they were also putting Lego Boost in with this, where you hook up some sensors and you get sound effects to go with this. And Man, 11 figures, cotton candy stand.
Well, there's a lot to it. I mean, so those of you that aren't quite familiar, maybe you had your head in the ground or something, but the set number is 10261. The thing, like Will said, it's over 4,000 pieces. It's massive. And what I noticed, I love looking at details of things. And this thing has 2 coasters, which is really cool, but I'll get back to that in a second. I was looking at some of the other pictures. I don't know where I was looking. And if you zoom in on these pictures, when it goes up the ramp, to the top of the coaster, if you on one of the pictures I saw down in the bottom, you've been on roller coasters before, I'm sure, and people drop sunglasses and money and hats. There is an orange Lego minifig hat down at the bottom on one of the green plates down at the bottom, simulating that somebody lost their hat going on this thing. And I was like, that is the coolest thing, because it wasn't, the photography was obviously, it had to have been done by Lego. So it was intentionally there. It's not like, oh, I forgot this orange minifig hat, ball cap. And I thought that was the coolest thing. And the other thing I noticed, you and I were discussing before we came on about, you have the mixer, and then there's the
Ferris wheel
and
carousel.
The carousel and the carousel and Ferris wheel. Thank you. Ugh. Okay. On one of the pieces on here, it shows a park map as if you were at Six Flags or something like that. And I zoomed in and looked, and it has the Ferris wheel in one part, and it has the carousel in another part, and it has the coaster where the coaster would be, and it has this little path through what would be like the Lego theme park. And I thought that was cool as can be, that they're tying the other 2 sets to this. I'm sure it's just a little sticker that goes on there, but I thought it's just that extra detail that, you're going to get this thing and you're going to sit it, and you have house guests come over and say, hey, watch this. You want to see this? Yeah. This is cool.
Yeah. In fact, I believe the Ferris wheel and the carousel in the background promotion pictures had like silhouettes of a roller coaster.
Oh, okay.
So that's why the roller coaster was a big guess as to what the next fairground was going to be. Also, people have seen a giant swing. It's actually based on a swing, I believe, in Denmark, or I could be wrong, but it's somewhere in Europe. And that one looks like it has a glowing top, and the top looks like it's the old space logo.
Okay.
So that could be a hint as to what comes even after the roller coaster. As if you can look past the roller coaster.
I know. I'm going to look at this thing for the next... I have no idea how long. You've got to... If you're a Lego fan, you've got to add this thing to your collection. You have to. You can't let it go, because here's the thing. If you do, for some reason, say, you know what, I can't justify it, trying to get this thing secondhand on the market after it's retired, it's going to cost you easily probably $1,000.
Yeah. Just because of the simple fact that not only is it as detailed as it is and has as many special parts as it does, but it's also just an expert line. This right. thing is built for adults.
Absolutely.
There's nothing if and about it. It's just, this is what adults want. This is what they're going to give them, but it's going to cost you.
Right.
You'll cry about it, but you'll be happy. In fact, we had members at my club here in Sacramento, the Sac Brick Builders, and they saw the press release of this, and they go, well, we have enough funds. We should buy 2 of them to make it the center of our display. You're like, I'm not sure that's a great idea, but I like your enthusiasm.
It's just a really cool set. And like you said, it is an expert set. It says 16 plus on the box. This isn't something you're going to buy for Lego's target demographic. This is this is a child is not going to be able to do this. But I was telling my my parents about this when this thing came out, because, you know, being 34, I'm still a child. I go back to them, hey, you won't believe this.
Yeah.
They laugh. But when I was a kid, and you collect Legos and stuff like that, and you end up with this giant bin of just pieces eventually. And through my head, I'm like, I want to build a roller coaster of my own. Well, I got to going up the hill, and then I basically ran out of pieces. Of course, I had to kind of create a track, because they didn't have the right kind of tracks that they have now. I mean, that piece wasn't invented at the time. So when this thing came out, I was just elated. I was like, here, it's finally here.
Yeah, and in 2017, when the Joker Manor came out, when we first saw these pieces that are meant for holding on to things and still letting them go around a track, the first thing people were asking, can it be motorized? And they just didn't say anything, but they knew, yes, we got them, because that's what we're planning, that's what we're doing, and they'll be so happy. Yeah,
and as a Lego fan, I just you've got to go. I will put in a link in the show notes to this thing. If you haven't had an opportunity to see it, like I said, you've been living under a rock. But I know some people are, they don't keep up with things, and it gets by them. But you can't miss this. I'm looking.
Well, in that case, you might want to find links to all the fairground sets, because seeing them in order, they're all impressive.
They are.
In fact, I was a little sad, but I understood why. The mixer actually can fold up and fit on 2 trucks.
Okay.
Whereas the other ones aren't, portable like that. And that was a cool feature that I was sad to see, didn't make it onto the other ones. But considering what they were building, the Ferris wheel, the carousel, there's no way to do that. So, yeah, they all have something to offer.
I'm as we're talking here, I'm on this hyper focused mission. I'm trying to find where I saw that picture of the hat in the background of this thing, and it's gonna drive me nuts. Oh, there it is. I'll put it, if you go on Lego's shop website, their shop at home, and you pull the roller coaster up, it's one of the pictures in there that shows the coaster from afar. It looks like it's a box picture, and you can see the orange hat just at the very bottom of this thing. I love it. And then to the right of that, on the edge of it, is where they have the park map. And I knew I saw it somewhere, I just couldn't remember where. But I love everything that comes with it. They seem to be adding just more details here and there. And you've got the cotton candy thing, like you had mentioned, which that's just, I mean, it goes with it. You're tying the theme park stuff together, and if you have the other ones, you can have a whole, I don't know. But
I was actually expecting them to throw in like a little souvenir stand, because we just recently got the balloon animal dogs.
Right.
And that would go perfectly, plus with the new balloons, and create maybe like some giant foam fingers or something like that. So I was sad when that wasn't there, but maybe next year.
Yeah, maybe next year. They keep pushing the boundary with this kind of stuff, and I really like the use that, Power Functions, like we said, doesn't come with this thing, which stinks. No. But Lego's not going to say, here's $380 and this set. Oh, by the way, we're going to throw this in. I don't think so.
No, you have to buy the biggest trains, like the new ones that are coming out. They're actually featuring the new Power Functions 2.0 system.
Right.
And that's supposed to hook in with what they wanted to do, because they had Power Functions, they had WeDo, they had Lego Boost, they had Mindstorms. They want to combine all of them into something that's a little bit more like a system. So that's actually going to be the first time we get our hands on Power Functions 2.0, but it does look like this roller coaster could use the original Power Functions motor, because for the most part, they're either lights, rotary motors, or servo motors.
Right.
And I think they're going to try to keep that simplicity in. The only change will be, 1, it hooks into the new system, and 2, you control it through something with a Bluetooth connection. So like a smartphone or a tablet, something like that.
Sure. So that is coming out. Oh, and it can't come out soon enough. It just can't.
I saw some people commenting. It's like, okay, I would get it, but that's too much. So I'm just gonna be satisfied with the 3-in-1 roller coaster.
Well, and I saw that, and when you had mentioned this to me, you had mentioned the Reddit leak that was out there, and then it came out the day after. I went and I was Googling and stuff like that. I saw what this was, and then I saw the other one, the 3-in-1.
Mm-hmm. And that's not bad either.
No, it's not. I kind of like that. I like the white track that it has.
In fact, some people were thinking, so I have to get 3 of these so I could build all 3 models? And they're like, yeah. All right, I'll do that.
Well, there's no doubt that'll be a cheaper price point, but you're getting kind of a single thing there, whereas this, you're kind of getting all the bells and whistles. Not kind of, you're getting all the bells and whistles other than the power functions, which, hey, if you're going to go in that far, you might as well splurge and spend the rest of the money to do it upright, I guess. If you really want to, I guess.
I just have some extra power function stuff on hand so that I can plug it into the carousel and see how it works. I can plug it into the Ferris wheel, see how it works. I can plug it into the mixer, see how it works. And I think recently I'm just waiting for a few more parts. A guy, JK Brickworks, he makes some fantastic kinesthetic models. And he built a Sisyphus pushing a boulder model. And so I have my power functions set aside so that I can build that and watch that run. But it's always good to have power functions on hand because you never know when you're going to need to plug it into something.
Exactly. And I mean, if you buy the train sets, you get a version of those. I don't know if you can use them all the same. But man. Okay. I'm gonna I gotta stop ogling over this thing. It's gonna take forever. So that is coming out. So
June 1st.
June 1st. And if you're I was reading, if you're on Lego VIP, May 16th is the earliest opportunity that you can get at it. But I have a feeling those will be spoken for in about 5 minutes after it goes for sale.
Hopefully it's not going to be the same thing as the UCS Millennium Falcon where they said, okay, so we're going to extend the VIP early access and not make it available yet because we don't have enough of anything to sell to people.
Yeah. I don't foresee Lego making that kind of mistake this time, but hey, you never know. I mean, it is what it is. And if that's what happens, it's not like it's going to be retired in a month. Give it some time. And, I got a notification that the UCS Falcon, I'm not purchasing that thing, but that it's back in stock and that you can pick it back up. I think Lego sent out an email.
Well, people who bought it early, they were waiting for those black VIP cards, and I've only recently heard that those people are finally getting their black VIP cards, which was supposed to be a promo bonus with buying the UCS Millennium Falcon. And I think there was even a deal in February that if you showed off your black VIP card, you got double points for VIP, but most of the people I was talking to at the time didn't have them. So I think you could still contact, the VIP customer service and get that fixed. And, they check, like, oh, yeah, you're due one, so we're just going to credit you those points.
Right.
But, yeah, talk about another thing that they were just completely unprepared for.
Well, hopefully, like I said, they're prepared for this one because this is gonna push the limits of their resources, especially on their website when this thing pops up. Anyway.
Let's see how fast it takes to crash.
Yeah, right. I wish I was some kind of computer wizard and I could create some kind of program and boom, to the millisecond that it goes live. I've got my copy, but I'll just wait. I'll eventually get a hold of this thing. But hey, I mean, like you had mentioned, this is something you might be able to get your hands on to review. So maybe I'll just wait for that and then hear about it and then get it myself afterwards.
Yeah, it's one that it's worth saving up for. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's too cool. It's just too cool.
It's just too cool, yeah. And we could go on for days, but I'll stop us there before we get lost in this abyss. And that'll do it for part 1 of episode number 8. Hope you come back for the remaining parts of this great episode that we recorded with Will. Before you go, make sure you do follow us over on our social media, facebook.com/The Bricks King Podcast. On Instagram, you can find us at The Bricks King Podcast. On Twitter, at The Bricks King. And our email, thebricksking@gmail.com. Again, I want to thank all the great listeners out there that really make this thing a success. I love talking with you guys. I love hearing feedback. And we'll see you again for part 2. That'll do it for me. And as always, I'm your minifig host, Matt. Let's build on it.